goodness. Hello everyone and welcome to Brandy's Cards. I am so excited to have you here with me today. I love to make handmade cards and I love to send those cards and I love to inspire others to do the same thing. And so on my Friday night fun night, I shared some fun cards using the Plentiful Plants stamp set and coordinating dies. And so these were the cards that I had shared with everybody who joined me that night, and that video is still up and available if you would like to see it. Now today I wanted to take it a little step further. I've had so much fun with this bundle that I decided to incorporate the paper lattice. So check that out. So really cool. Stampin' Up! Has these paper lattices and there's just so many fun things you can do with them. So I decided that I'm going to make you a couple cards today using those paper lattices and give you some more ideas on how to create with your Plentiful Plants bundle. All right. So without further ado, let me show you the cards. All right. So these are the cards we're going to make today. Super fun. And I'm going to show you a couple other ideas as well. So let's get started. So over here, this is your Plentiful Plants bundle, absolutely gorgeous, as well as the Perfect Plant dies. Absolutely love this set. It is just so much fun to work with. Oh, it's so nice. And so one of the neat things about this set is it actually coordinates with this gorgeous, gorgeous designer series paper. So this designer series paper is called Bloom Where You're Planted, and I love that. Right? Bloom Where You're Planted. Such a pretty name. And what I like about this paper is a lot of these pieces actually die cut, or you can hand cut them out. So this is one side of the designer paper, and then if we flip it over, you can see you have some more neutral tones and textures that you can work with. The brick and the cement type looking here, the wood grain and the bricks here. So just really fun textures and patterns that you can manipulate and coordinate together, right? So check this one out. I love when my dies coordinate with different things, right? It just makes me happy. Happy. So here you go. I'm just going to show you really quick some of these dies, how they coordinate with different parts and pieces, and of course with some of the different plants. And so over here you can see that we've got a die that coordinates with this one. So just lots of fun, lots of opportunity just to get creative and just go crazy creating. I like that. Okay, so today I'm going to show you these fun paper lattices. So these are also a part of this suite, and they're called the Stampin' Up! Paper Lattice. There's quite a few in there actually. I think you get 10, so lots of opportunity to create with these and have some fun. So the first card I'm going to share with you today, I have all of my stuff already cut out and I have prepared ahead of time. So we're going to get straight to the point and we are going to get creating because that is what I am super excited to do. So I've got some liquid adhesive and of course I have my snips. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold our basic white cardstock in half and we're going to use some liquid adhesive and add that to our Just Jade cardstock. And so this is just a plain piece of Just Jade cardstock. However, when I'm all done here, I'm going to show you kind of another idea to kind of put another spin on it. So maybe you want to change it up even more. All right, but we can, I'll show you that here momentarily. Then what I have is we're just going to use this paper lattice straight like it is. We're not going to change it at all as of yet. So what I'm going to do is I've had some people ask me, well, how in the world do you stick this paper lattice down? It's making me cranky. No, don't let things make you cranky. It's okay. So what you can take is a piece of a sponge, or if you have a sponge dauber to spare that you can designate towards glue, that's what I recommend. I also have, I've got basically this plastic. This is, I think I have 3 left that I'm going to use in this paper lattice, but you just need a piece of scrap paper, okay? And what we're going to do for the first idea is I'm going to put some adhesive right on my plastic. And then what I'm going to do, you're going to want a piece of scrap paper, of course, and you're going to put some scrap paper underneath your lattice, and you have your sponge, dauber, sponge, regular sponge, whatever you want to use, and I'm just going to dab my glue onto my paper lattice. And so clearly I'm going to need more glue than that. Okay, so I'm just sort of dabbing it on here, because you got to be careful, because this is one of those things that if you're not careful, it's gonna squeeze out the sides, and that is definitely gonna make you cranky. So we don't want to do that. So just keep it simple, and you can add the glue behind it. Now, in some of the cards I've done prior, I've actually just taken mini glue dots and put a mini glue dot, one in each corner, and that worked beautifully as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this right on top of another piece of basic white cardstock that has been cut to size. So I've cut this one to the exact size of my lattice, and so you can see that is all coming together quite beautifully. All right, so now the next thing I want to show you is I have one of the dies in this set, and this die is for your plant holder. Now, for those of you that love hanging plants, sometimes it's fun, depending on which type of plant you have, whether it's a dangly plant or, a potted plant, whatever type of plant it is, you like to kind of have different hanging plant hangers, right? So this one, when you die cut it, it looks just like this. And so that's the die cut one. But I am going to show you how I created a smaller one. And so what I did to create it a little bit smaller is you're going to want to focus on, this is your main rope of your plant hanger, and then you've got a triangle here. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut up on this triangle, and I just pull those pieces aside. And that way it's not so confusing. If I just pull it aside and I focus on that triangle right there, then I can see. Otherwise, sometimes it plays tricks on my eyes. So that's just kind of a little helpful tidbit that I have found works for me, and I think it might work for you as well. So there you have it. So there is a smaller plant holder. Now I've also cut one out of white, out of basic white, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this one as well. The reason that I chose to do the darker one first is I felt like that one you could probably see a little bit better. So let's go ahead and just do the white one as well for our card today. So once we have that cut, we're going to set that aside, and now we have a fun plant holder. Now also in the dies, I've actually die cut some of these little spiky plants right here. I've die cut those out of the dies. I have also stamped with the stamp set. I have stamped some of these fun leaves. We've got a 5-leaf and we have a 2-leaf, and I stamped and then I die cut those with these dies. And so I'm happy to bring in the stamp set as well, so you kind of have a look there. And also in this card, I stamped this kind of like fern type, I guess if you want to call it that. I'm not totally sure, but I stamped one of those. I also die cut a Just Jade pot. Now we do have some Just Jade pots that are inside the actual designer series paper, so you could certainly do that as well. I've also got a white, basic white little guy here, little pot, and then I have another planter. So the cool thing about this planter, and I totally missed this on my original cards, is you see there's a line right here. That line is so that you can stick your pot in there. That's correct. So if you see some of the pictures and it looks like this, it's because Brandy didn't realize that your pot is supposed to go inside the planter. Yeah, so anyway, and then I stamped this pot in polished pink. That's because I wanted a little pop of color. And then I cut out another succulent, and let's see what else I have here. And then of course I have my sentiment. So let's put this card together. Let's put it all together and see how this is going to turn out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Stampin Dimensionals right here behind my lattice. And we are going to put these dimensionals. I am going to probably go a bit heavier on the Stampin' Dimensionals, only because it's quite a large piece and I don't want any sagging in the middle. So that's probably why I'll be doing that. And you're going to pull off your backs. You can also use take your pick tool to pull those little backs off, right? And then we're going to add it right here to the center of our card front. So we're going to add it right there. So that looks perfect. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our planter here at the bottom. So if you go ahead and you put the planter, or you put the pot in the planter and you flip it over, well, then you can take your Stampin' Dimensional and kind of put it right on top. That's going to hold it into place. Now, what I do recommend is that you leave a little bit of room at the top of the plant, the pot, I should say, so that way you can, actually that might not leave me enough room, but we're going to see, because you want to be able to layer your plants underneath, right? So that's why I would say you're going to want to leave a little bit of room, but I think that's going to work just fine. So I'm going to put that right about here and start to build this up on my lattice. Now this 5-leaf one is one of my favorites, I think. And what I've done for this one is I've put one Stampin' Dimensional behind one leaf, and then I take a mini glue dot. And my mini glue dot will then go down here on the stem or the bottom of the plant, and I just kind of tuck it right in here. I liked it hanging off of the lattice because it felt more realistic, so I liked that look. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the 3-leaf plant. Of course, there's so many ways and so many colors, so I suggest that you stamp a whole bunch of these different leaves and different colors, and then you can start piecing them together. For example, let me just pull this in and set this aside for a second. Look at all these parts and pieces. Yeah, so that's what I did, is I stamped stuff in Just Jade and Evening Evergreen and Garden Green and Pear Pizzazz, and I just started cutting everything out, and then I started cutting stuff out of the designer paper. So that way, when I got started, you know, it was just an easier segue to kind of pick and choose what I wanted to use. So I highly recommend that for you as well. Okay, so here is the fun small planter that we had created, right? And so this is going to go right there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive. Of course, we still have our sponge dauber. So, and you know, if you wanted to use the sponge dauber instead, you feel free to do that. Probably is definitely easier than trying to do it this way, but I am going to just go for it like that today. So then we're going to stick it onto the center of our pot. And so there we have our pretty polished pink pot. The reason that I went with polished pink is because I wanted a pop of color on this card. We had so many beautiful greens and things like that that I wanted a nice pop of color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals right behind my pot, right? Just like that. And then I'm going to pick out my location on my paper lattice, and I think I'm going to kind of stick with that hole right there. And I'm going to put it right along here. So I love that. Now I'm going to leave this piece up because my plan is to add some of these fun pieces inside of here. So if I were to go ahead and stick that down, well, that would make it quite a bit more difficult. So just think about that as you're layering up, right? So I'm going to put this in here like that. And then I'm going to put the other one over here, kind of spiking out that direction. And now this one, so I've done mini glue dots because I wanted them flat. And now I'm going to add a couple Stampin' Dimensionals behind this guy because I want some dimension. I want it to be popped up, a little bit raised. So you're going to have a nice foam dot. So that'll give it some lift. And I'm going to put it where it's kind of cascading over my pot, just like that. Perfect. Now what we have is we have a rope that we need to secure. So I'm just going to grab a mini glue dot. I'm just going to grab that guy, stick it right behind here, and just going to set it down just like that. Now it's interesting, you know, we used to have some really nice gold brads or brass brads, but you know, we're not selling those anymore. Those have retired. So, you know, the next best thing I thought, well, what about some champagne rhinestones? These rhinestones are quite nice and I think are kind of universal. So I'm going to use that as to kind of fill that space right there. It's kind of like, you know, the nail that's hanging it, or, you know, the decorative planter. So there we go. So that's that. Then I have a couple more pieces here to share with you. I have my Stampin Dimensionals. I'm going to cut just a small piece here. I'm going to need a small one. And now that I'm looking at that, I think it actually might be better just to cut a big Stampin Dimensional in half and use a piece of that instead. So that's what I'm going to do here. And then once I can get it off my thing, there we go. I'm going to flip it over and I'm just going to add the smaller cut Stampin Dimensional right to the back of my little pot. Now let's see, where do we want the little pot to go? I want it, I think, to kind of look like it's setting, offset a bit, but it's kind of setting on the paper lattice, right? Or the trellis. So that's what we're going to do there. And then I have my succulent with a Stampin Dimensional, and that guy is going to kind of tuck right in there. Okay, so far so good. I have the sentiment to a dear friend. That is also the sentiment that came in the stamp set, in the Plentiful Plants stamp set. Now, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in these products, I would love the opportunity to earn your business. Just reach out to me at brandyscards.com. There's a place there that you can contact me. I would love to send you complimentary catalogs. I would love to answer any questions you have and get you on your way creating handmade cards. It is so much fun and I think you would love it. Okay, so now I wanted a bit more pop of color. So I thought, well, how about these fun loose flowers? Especially when I saw that pop of pink, I thought, oh yes, absolutely. See, look how pretty that is. That just makes me so happy. It really adds a nice little pop of color. So let's go ahead and add this little guy right up in here. Now, I'm going to show you one other quick thing that you can do with these. Let's just say you wanted this to kind of maybe add some more color. You can take one of these little glue dots, these mini glue dots, kind of wad it up into sort of a ball, and you're going to stick it right there in the center of that flower. Then what you can do is you can take one of our in color jewels. Oh, these jewels are so beautiful, absolutely stunning. So we're going to set that right inside that flower, and so it just adds another beautiful sparkle and pop to that card. Okay, so that is the first way that I used the paper lattice. Let me show you the second way. I'm going to go ahead and pull my card over. So we're going to start again with another Whisper White base. Then we have a full-size paper lattice. So now my thought was, well, what if I want a paper lattice that's maybe not quite as big? What if I want to tailor it to a specific space that I have? So my thought was, well, what if we just take and we cut it up straight through here like this? Check this out. So we're going to cut up the paper lattice, and I've chosen to go over 3. So you've got, oh, I cut that one, but that's okay. I'm going to show you why that's okay here in a second. So you've got 1, and you've got 2 and 3. So then I'm going to flip it around because you have this nice hard edge over here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this one. Now this one I have to be careful not to snip it like I did on the other one. So here we go. Just kind of working my way up and just cutting off these little pieces. Perfect. So now my thought was what if I layer those together? And when you do that, well, now you have a smaller piece and you still have the defined edge for maybe, you know, a different type of hanging plant or picture or something along those lines. And then another fun thing that you can do is you can actually take this piece and, well, you could make this piece into kind of a fun decorative piece as well, just by going up like this, and you cut all these little kind of down the center of these pieces. They're flying everywhere. Holy moly, my oh my. And so then what you would do is you would kind of cut through here as well, and then back down. And so there's no waste. You can still use this as a beautiful accent right behind one of your plants. So there's kind of another idea that you can use that paper lattice. Now here, before I move on and show you our last card today, what about this design? So this design, you're going to take your paper lattice and you are going to kind of cut around. Same thing, you're going to cut straight down and then you're going to round the corner and cut down and round it again. And so that's how I did that design. So there's so many fun things that you can do with these cool paper lattices, right? Who knew? Who knew you could even die cut circles and make those the center? There are so many fun things that you can do for sure. But this is the one that we're going to work with today. And so this one is going to go on top. Now, I did hand cut a piece of basic white cardstock. And what I did is I sponged on my glue just like I had shown you before. So I sponged on my glue and then I added this one on top. And here is what I ended up with. That's what it looks like. Super cool. Just another fun way to create, right? So here, let me just show you real quickly how I put this card together. And here we go. So this one I have already done for you. And I have, in this one, I decided that I was going to use the, what is that called? That is called the Brick and Mortar. That is the Brick and Mortar embossing folder. Love it. It's got a nice texture to it. And now when you're doing this, if you're gonna, depending on the direction of your card, you're gonna wanna make sure that your bricks are going the right way. Trust me on that. I have made that mistake. And especially I was preparing for my video and I'm like, okay, wait a second. Something looks a little weird. My bricks are going the wrong direction of my plants. So you just wanna keep that in mind. But don't ever throw those things away because you can always use them later. Absolutely. So here we go. We're gonna add this right about in here. So that one looks good, just like that. All right. So then let's go ahead and add some of our plants. Now remember, I showed you the Bloom Where You're Planted designer series paper earlier. So I went ahead and I cut some of these beautiful plants out. I cut this one out and I cut this one out earlier as well. They're absolutely gorgeous, fairly easy to cut out. You just have to have a bit of patience, but you can absolutely cut those out. So here we go. Let's flip this one over and we're gonna add some Stampin Dimensionals behind him. He's a little flimsy, so we're gonna need to make sure and secure him pretty good, especially because he's a designer series paper, so he doesn't have the paper weight. So we'll just add a bunch of dimensionals behind him, and I'm gonna add it right about in here. So let's see, I think that looks pretty good. And then there you have your plant. And then I cut out this fun kind of vine, if you will. Well, there we go. I'm going to show it to you. And I'm going to add some dimensionals behind this as well. And I'm probably going to do 3. And I'm going to take off my dimensional backings and we're going to just add it right here. So I loved how it overlaps and I love how it hangs down. So I thought that was super, super cool. Then I also cut out one of the fun pots. And let's see, do I want to just put him flat? Yeah, why not? So let's do that. Let's just add this flat. And then by adding this flat, we can pop up our little plant. So I've got a mini glue dot. Of course, you can use liquid adhesive as well. So I'm going to put this right about there. And then let's see, I should have another little piece. So this was one of the plants that I die cut out of my, I shouldn't say die cut it. I hand cut it out of my Bloom Where You're Planted designer paper. Added a mini glue dot because I want that to go flat, and then I want part of the plant to be popped up. And then I have some twine here, and I am going to add my twine as well with a mini glue dot. And I'm going to add that straight to my plant here. Oh, I've got a mess. I tell you, that is sticky. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so we're gonna add that right there. I just thought that was a nice little touch having that on there. And then the very last thing, we need a sentiment. And so this sentiment is, you touched my heart. Oh gosh, it's so pretty. I love, love this bundle. This bundle is called Plentiful Plants. It's from Stampin' Up, and I just absolutely love it. I have, if you purchase this bundle from me, I have a bunch of tutorials to share for you on brandyscards.com. So make sure you check it out. If you like my video, please press the like button and subscribe. All right, so I think I am ready to, let me show you this really quick. So I have one more thing to show you. So here is these really cute little bees. And I thought on the other one we did a fun pop of color, but on this one I thought we would use the bees. And so these little fun bees, where should I put this guy? Maybe right in here, like he is buzzing those flowers or plants. So I thought that was kind of cool. And you know, check this one out too. So this one we did earlier, and this one I actually stamped this plant right here out of the stamp set, that guy, as my background. So that just kind of changed it up a little bit. So you have an opportunity to kind of play with it and have fun. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed me. I hope that I've inspired you to pull out your Plentiful Plants bundle, or maybe the Soft Succulents bundle, and get stamping. Have some fun with these cards. If you liked my video today, please click the like button. That helps me grow my channel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Brandy's Cards. Subscribe, and if you want to be notified of my upcoming videos, click that notification bell. I'd really appreciate that. And again, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please reach out to me and let me know. I'd love the opportunity to help you and earn your business. If you're one of my current customers, thank you so much. I'm grateful for you and your business, your love and support, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Bye, everybody.